Maybe I'll take a couple of minutes to tell you all what's happening in the next few days at MMA so that you don't miss any program of MMA in case you have missed the mail. So the next program that's coming up is on the 20th of this month. It's on interstate migration, demography and economy. We have Dr. Bernard D. Sami, who is a senior fellow, Loyola Institute of Social Science. We have Dr. Laura Dev Prasanna. He is a professor, Department of Social Work, Stella Maris, and we have Mr. Arun Vignesh, who is an independent researcher, presenting on this topic, interstate migration. Then on the 21st, once again a popular program that's becoming popular by the month now. As you all aware, we have started one program in Tamil every month. Currently, the series is based on Tirukkural. Maybe in future we will take up a few more Tamil epics or books. This time it's leadership qualities in Tirukkural. It is on 21st of February. We have Dr. R. Purnalingam, IAS retired, former Secretary Government of Tamil Nadu, and Dr. M. Muthuvelu, former Registrar, Central Institute of Classical Tamil. They both are going to present on this topic, leadership qualities in Tirukkural. Then on the 22nd, the very next day, we have the Women Marriages Forum event. That's on women on boards, how to increase their presence. It's an online event. All of you could log in. Ms. Aarti Madhusudanan, founder, Governance Counts, a consultant and volunteer, Dean Utsav and board member of Sahayak Foundation from Mumbai, and Ms. Maithili Chandrasekhar, she is a consumer behavior and brand strategy enthusiast. They both are going to present this on 22nd. And then of course there are a lot of other programs. We are collaborating with the MSME department on the 24th of this month and having a whole day event from 10 a.m. in the morning to 4 p.m. That's on export and import policies and procedures for MSMEs. In case you have not registered, kindly go ahead and register on the portal. And 25th is a big day for MMA. We have the annual convention, a flagship event coming up. That's going to be held at the IIT Research Park Auditorium. The theme this year is India's Century, how to drive sustainable, inclusive growth. So I think all of you have received mails and many of you have registered for the event as well. The auditorium has got a capacity of about 900. We have already about 700, 750 confirmed registrations. In case any of you still want to join, please do register and most welcome. And I must take a minute to tell you that the convention is once again, we have a galaxy of speakers addressing us that day. In the inaugural session, we have Mr. Jaideep Brad, who is the senior partner at McKinsey India, who is going to give the keynote address. And the chief guest for the inaugural function is going to be Mr. K. Premachandran, Member of Parliament, Lok Sabha. He's been an MP for 5 times. And he's going to be the chief guest that day. And then we have in the plenary session, CEO of Niti Aayog, Mr. Parameshwaran Iyer. He will be speaking to us on that day. Then we have once again Supriya Sahu, Ms. IAS. She's Additional Chief Secretary, Department of Environment. She is going to be one of the speakers along with Ms. Mridula Ramesh. And they are going to be talking to us on sustainability and growth. So we have a galaxy of speakers, as I told you. Ms. Josh Fogler, who is the Managing Director, Bharat FIH Foxconn. Then we have Rear Admiral Venkatraman, who is actually Flag Officer commanding Tamil Nadu and Pondicherry. And they are going to be talking about the Atmanirbhar Bharat, accelerating frontier growth in key sectors. We have Mr. Raja Parthasarathi, Managing Director and Co-Head Morgan Stanley joining us. We have Mr. Prateek Pal, who is the CEO of Tata Digital joining us. We have Mr. A.R. Unnikrishnan, Managing Director, Shane Goben joining us. And of course, in the valedictory session, the keynote address is being given by Mr. Arun Maira, who is the thought leader and author, former member of the Planning Commission of India, and former India Chairman, Boston Consulting Group. And of course, the chief guest for the valedictory function would be Mr. H.K. Agarwal, Managing Director, Grasim Industries Limited. So I hope to see all of you here. And those who are watching us online, once again, welcome all of you. We are about to start the event in just a few moments from now. We have a lot of events lined up throughout this month and maybe for the month of March, April as well. March, we're having the Women Convention coming up. The Women Convention is slated to be held on the 18th of March. It's here in the same hall. And 14th, we have the Outstanding Women Managers Competition as well. So please pass on this information, and would like to see as many as a women as possible participating in the yearly convention. Coming to this evening event today, I think, still some more people are there, but we'll continue. Today, we have a very, very interesting book to be discussed, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. And may I call upon on this stage the three distinguished speakers for this evening. Ms. Sangeeta Sumesh, ma'am, I request you to come and take your place on the dais. Ms. Uma Maheshwari, please come on. And Ms. Shobha Sridharan, most welcome. Please. So the book, I think, is a very, very popular book, and a lot of people have told me, whoever I've spoken to about this program has told me, oh, that book, I've read it. So it is that kind of a book, but once again, worth reading, or once again, worth listening from these experts, what the book is all about. So before I hand over the session to Ms. Sangeeta, let me have the pleasure of introducing all the three guest speakers. Ms. Sangeeta is a business and leadership coach, speaker and author. As many of you would be aware, she is one of the three who drives this Read and Grow session every third month. So thank you, Ms. Sangeeta, for that. And she's an independent director, IFB Industries Limited. She contributes as a business and leadership coach. Sangeeta is on a mission to enable, empower, and elevate business with purpose. She brings along a rich corporate experience of 25 years. Sangeeta is a chartered accountant, management accountant, and completed executive education from Harvard Business School. Then we have Ms. Uma Maheshwari. She is DGM HR, Caterpillar India Private Limited. Uma Maheshwari is a HR professional with over 2 decades of experience and has worked in global organizations in several capacities, such as organizational and talent development, HR, shared services, talent management, industrial relations, etc. She currently leads the HRIR function at the Caterpillar India's manufacturing plant at Tiruvallur. She always focuses on providing exceptional value to business, and in that process gets a little workaholic. Really? Great to see you there. Then we have Ms. Shobha Sridharan. She is a global head of L&D Bristlecone. Am I pronouncing it right? Right, okay. Shobha Sridharan is currently the global head, as I told you, learning and development at Bristlecone, a Mahindra group of companies company. She has over 25 years of work experience and has a UG in computer science from Chennai and a PG in business administration from the US. Started her career as a software developer and has worked for over 10 years in the US. Her unique meta-competency framework, where competencies are chosen by employees based on the levels of work and goals, recently won Bristlecone Gold Award by the Economic Times. Let's give her a round of applause for that. Thank you so much. So she's been also volunteering with the Art of Living Foundation. So thanks all three of you for choosing to join us. Next month we are celebrating the International Women's Day, but I think today we are starting that with all three women on the stage this evening. May I now invite Ms. Sangeeta to make her opening remarks and take this forward.
Good evening, everybody. Nice to be here again and host yet another session of Read and Grow. So before I start, I'd like you to imagine, let's say you're going shopping and you find a very fancy, expensive handbag right there. You really want to buy it, but then it's much above your budget, right? This is what happened to a lady. She looked at the bag, she's like, oh, I want to have it, and then she looks at the price, and then she says, it's too expensive, and I'll not be able to afford this. But immediately, she reversed her thoughts. She started telling in her mind that I own this bag, and this bag is up for sale. So she says that to herself, and she moves on. And just few hours later, her fiancé gifts her the exact same bag, right? Now, if you thought this was applicable only to something as simple as a handbag, listen to this other incident. There was a man who was caught in the jungles, and he lost hopes of getting saved from there. He thought he was going to die in the jungle. But soon he realized, and then he started surrendering himself and he says, I'm not going to surrender to my fear. I will overcome this. So he pushed away all these symptoms of panic, and as soon as he started feeling a little more relaxed, he began to claim, and he started asking the infinite intelligence to lead the way and guide him to safety. When he said that, he started feeling a lot of faith and confidence, and miraculously, he says he was rescued within 2 days. My friends, this is the law of life, which is the law of belief. Because a person thinks, feels and believes, and so is the condition of his or her mind, body and circumstances, which is exactly the power of your subconscious mind. Now you may be wondering, why did I choose this book? Because normally I do pick up a management or a leadership book or a business book. The particular reason, I was very curious to read about it, because it said, you can manifest your dreams, be it personal or professional. Everything comes true because of the power of your subconscious mind. Plus, of course, this is a best-selling book, and it made me more curious to find out how exactly does this work. So the book starts off by saying the treasure house within you, which is the power of your subconscious mind. And it says the subconscious mind, within it lies depth of wisdom, infinite power and infinite supply of all that is necessary for us. And through the wisdom of the subconscious mind, you can attract, be it an ideal companion, as well as the right business associate, be it health, wealth, whatever that you want. So the important part is, it says, you're planting seeds of thought in the subconscious mind all day long. Isn't that true? Don't we all always, have background thoughts running in our minds? And normally, we are even unaware, because it's a habitual thing. We are always thinking. I'm sure there's a lot of mind chatter that's going on amongst us. So the key, the book says, is sow thoughts of peace, happiness, right action, goodwill, and prosperity. Because you change your thoughts and you change your destiny. So how does the mind really work? So it says the subconscious mind is the seat of all the emotions that we have. And once the subconscious mind accepts an idea, it starts to execute it, be it good or bad. It does not have the power to differentiate between what's good for you and what is not. And that is why the subconscious mind is like a bed of soil. And it accepts any kind of seeds that you're putting into it, be it good or bad. And as I said, it does not differentiate between what is false, what is right. It just accepts whatever that you say. So that is exactly the reason one needs to be watchful of the words that we speak. So it gives a very nice example. There was a little girl who was suffering from psoriasis arthritis. The father was very upset. They tried different sorts of medication. Nothing seemed to work. And the father just, in that moment, he told his friends, he said, I would give my right arm to see my daughter being cured. And guess what? His car was involved in a head-on collision, and his right arm was ripped apart. It was torn off his shoulder. He was hospitalized, and by the time he came back home, he realized his daughter was completely cured. So you have a great power, the power to choose, and therefore choose happiness and choose abundance. So the miracle of the working power of the subconscious mind is whatever you impress onto it, it will move the heaven and earth to make it come true for you. So whenever you're feeling physically or mentally disturbed, the best thing that you can do is to just relax, still the wheels of your thought process, speak to your subconscious mind and tell your subconscious mind to take over through peace, harmony, and divine order. And the book stresses on the importance of mental visualization. Anything and everything that you want, it says, start to visualize. Because if we believe and accept something to be true, and our desire has already been accomplished and fulfilled, the realization of it will follow in the future that you want. So gives an example of how Jesus Christ used to heal people. So he says it's again because of the power of the subconscious mind, because people, when they used to go to him for healing, they had complete faith and understanding of the power of subconscious mind. And he says all the diseases actually originates in your mind. Therefore, believe in the reality and whatever you want gets manifested. Again, he moves on to talk about, this was the ancient times. And the modern times, he says, the belief of your mind is the thought of your mind. So what is it that you're believing? What is your belief system? So he gives an example. He says, if you want health, every night, just affirm before you go to bed, saying, every cell, every nerve, tissue, and organ is now made whole, pure, and perfect. My whole body is being restored to health and harmony. So he says, once you start making such affirmation, the subconscious mind absorbs it and makes it come true. Because he says the prayer is the soul's sincere desire. And the secret of an effective prayer is to inspire the subconscious mind with the desired outcome. So he says, if your blueprint, of the mental patterns, supposing it's full of fear, worry, anxiety, lack, you're very cynical, that's how it's going to manifest for you, because you're instilling in your mind more of toil, tension, anxiety, and limitations. So that is what your subconscious mind tends to absorb. So your prayer, therefore, must be to accept, an image in your mind and the power of your subconscious mind so that it can make it a lot productive and work in your favor. So he again talks about the visualization technique. He calls this a mental movie. So he gives a lovely example. He says, supposing you want to sell a property. So first, you need to satisfy yourself in your mind that the price that you are asking for the property is right and fair, both to you as well as the buyer. Once you've done that, he says, quiet your mind. Then get into a sort of a drowsy state and reduce all your mental efforts to a bare minimum. Picture the check in your hand, rejoice, give thanks, and go to sleep. He says, in this feeling of naturalness, this movie gets created in your mind and you can play it when you want and it manifests into reality. And he stresses on the importance of gratitude because he says a thankful heart is closer to the richness of the universe. And then he says, how can you get the results that you want? So he gives another example. He says, supposing you're trying too hard for something to be manifested and come true, the results will actually become more distant because your mind does not adhere to too much of coercion. So it responds to faith or the conscious mind's acceptance. So do not force your mind because then it moves away. So therefore, he says it's very important to have a clear idea in your mind that you must arrive at the definite decision on the way out that you want. He gives 3 steps to success in your prayers. Acknowledge or admit the problem. Turn the problem to your subconscious mind to show you the way out. And rest with a deep sense of conviction that it's done. How nice, right? Just 3 simple steps. So whatever you desire and imagine, suppose, this is something important. Whatever you desire and important, if it's in conflict with your imagination wins. And therefore, it's important, whatever we imagine, whatever we want, whatever we are praying for, should not be in conflict with what you're imagining. When fear creeps in, the mental video starts to play that. The mental visualization technique that he spoke about, whenever you feel there is an amount of fear in something, start playing that because you're imagining how you want yourself and how you want the outcome to be. Again, for wealth, the power of the subconscious mind has a big role to play there. He says, supposing you're full of fear for the future and you're writing a blank check, right? You are attracting the negative condition. And therefore, it's important to keep your mind in a positive manner, because the feeling of wealth produces wealth, the abundance, right? So keep this in mind every time. And if you want your sales to increase, the affirmation is, my sales is improving every day. And your subconscious mind will then give you ideas how your sales need to grow. So this is what he says on the revenue. And he says, you have a right to be rich. But the key is, you cannot attract what you criticize. So what is the relationship that you have with money? If you feel grateful for the good and for the riches, that is exactly what you're attracting. And you must give to receive. So the key to wealth is to apply the laws of the subconscious mind and impregnating it with the idea of wealth. You can use the subconscious mind to be a partner in success. Again, 3 nice steps he talks about. First, you need to love the thing that you're doing. And if you don't know what is it, he says, pray for guidance. Specialize in something, then you excel in it. And what you want should not only give success to you, but it should be for the benefit of humanity. Gives a nice example of a Hollywood actor. The actor says, at the time I was working in the fields, in the farm, he imagined that he could see his name in big letters in the grand and great theaters. And he says, I saw every detail of my fans, the interviewers who are clamoring to come and speak to me. And I kept this dream always. I kept playing it, and lo and behold, he says, it came true. He says even the scientists have asked for guidance, and then they get like an inner awareness or an overpowering hunch, and they just follow the faith. Sleep also, he says subconscious mind does wonders when you're asleep. So apparently somebody got an overseas assignment and was in a dilemma, wasn't too sure if he should take up the engagement. And in his sleep, he says he got a dream wherein his friend held a newspaper saying, there was some war or something in the country where he was supposed to go. And therefore, he rejected the assignment, and apparently that came true within the next month or something like that. So he says you're spiritually charged when you're sleeping, and be prepared to get guidance on the right decisions that you want to take. Subconscious mind also plays an important role in marital problems, and how he says by praying together, you stay together. And each partner should be perfectly honest and sincere with each other, and thereby you can attract the ideal partner by just talking to your subconscious mind. And again, he says 3 things if you already have a partner. What are the steps? He says, forgive each other before you get to bed every day. Express gratitude for the goodness, and do not take your partner for granted. Radiate love, peace, and goodwill to each other. On happiness, the book says you must choose happiness in whatever you do, and gives a very nice example. Apparently, there was an employee whose heart was filled with resentment for the vice president and the president of a company. They were opposing his ideas, and he was worried because the profits were declining, and he had some ESOPs in the business. But the moment he started realizing the power of the subconscious mind, he started giving affirmations quietly in his mind. Now, what was that? He says, the president and the vice president of my company are divinely guided in all their undertakings and decisions for the business, which actually results in the profit growth. And he says within months, the business started to pick up well and do very well. So subconscious mind also gives you harmony in human relationships. Whatever relationships that you want, you can create harmony. And he says, watch out of your inner speech, because that can be highly destructive. So what is it you're saying yourself? He also says everyone wants to be loved and appreciated, and everyone likes to feel important in this world. So gives an example of an actress who wasn't doing well initially, but then before her performance, she started pouring her love and goodwill to the audience before she stepped onto the stage, and she started giving love vibrations to all the audience, and says this made her career very successful. So think, what are the thoughts that you're having? What are the thoughts you're clinging on to? And the thoughts you believe are actually hidden, and they are in fact being broadcast by your voice, your facial expression, and your body language. So watch out, what is it that you're having, because the thoughts then tend to manifest in these different ways. Another important thing he talks about is how to use the subconscious mind for forgiveness. There was the groom did not turn up for the marriage, and the bride said she had actually prayed for divine guidance, and she accepted it, saying, this is probably my prayer being answered. And because my prayer, she had a lot of faith, she says, my prayer never fails me, and probably this is the best thing for us. So you must forgive everyone who has hurt you, because otherwise it will come back to hurt you. Because the stress caused by these negative emotions can directly impact your immune system. He gives a nice example again. He says, suppose you have a very painful dental procedure last year, and you have to tell me about it right now. And I ask you, oh, are you still in pain? You would look astonished and you would say, of course not. I remember the pain, but I don't feel the pain any longer. And he says the forgiveness works very similarly. If you have forgiven someone, you will remember the incident and you will no longer feel the sting or the hurt of it, and therefore forgive everyone. It also helps in removing your mental blocks and helps you to overcome the fears that you have. And the concluding chapter is something very nice. He says, how to stay young in spirit forever. He says you can be 65, 75, 85, 95, whatever, but life is always clothing you in newer ways. So you're only as young as you think. So he says when you grow old, when you lose interest in life, when you cease to dream, you stop to search for newer worlds to conquer. That's when you're actually aging. But he says, realize with all these years, you have so much of experience, you have so much to give back, and therefore, your mind never retires. So be open and receptive to new ideas. That's the gist of the book. Now, if I were to tell you about 3 powerful things that stood out for me from the book, this is a very beautiful line. He says, the doctor dresses the wound, but it's God who heals it. Then he says, whenever you're stuck at any point in time for anything, ask for divine guidance. And the third important thing was, he says, when you're imagining and when you're praying, if the two are in conflict, then it is not easy for your prayer to manifest. So these were like 3 very strong things that stood out for me from the book. So I would definitely urge you to read it, try it, see how you can manifest your personal and your professional dreams to achieve your goals. Use it, and do let me know. I'm also planning to try it out, so don't ask me that. So now let's move over to the Power Pact panel, and let's see what our panelists have to say. So let me come there. Shobha, so what are your thoughts on the book?
Yeah, first of all, I should thank you for inviting me here, and also what you spoke. You pretty much told all about the book. So my thought is, like, it is very close to my heart. The topic is very close to my heart. In fact, I remember about 15 years ago, I wrote an article, a blog post rather, on law of attraction. And I circulated it to many people, and everybody said it works. So I strongly believe in the power of the subconscious mind, and there is nothing that it cannot do. So this book is very close to my heart in that sense, and I feel the book is very simple, practical, the guidelines that has been given, it is very easy to implement in life too. So that's why he calls it a science, because it's very logical, analytical. Though he says that logic is very limited, which we know, to tap into the subconscious mind, we need to step out of the logical. It is like, often my Gurudev says, my Gurudev Sri Ravi Shankar Ji says that, logic is taking you to the car parking, but you have to get into, really tap into the power of your subconscious mind. So you can't sit in the car. So I really love the book in that sense.
Amazing, amazing. Thanks for that. Uma, what are your key takeaways? And I know you've been like a hard follower. In fact, the moment I told Uma that, this is the book, she jumped with joy. She was very happy. So do share your thoughts and experiences on the book.
Okay, I think I have to thank my father for who I am today, because since childhood, positive attitude is something that I have really imbibed from him, even before knowing what is the power of subconscious mind. When I read the book, again, like what Shobha said, I had the opportunity to read this book 15 years ago. I borrowed the book from my colleague and I read the book. And it was an aha moment for me, because whatever I believed without knowing what is subconscious mind, I was actually following it, because my father had inculcated that positive attitude in us. Even the words we speak at home, he always used to caution us, right? So you have to use the right words, it manifests. He never used to tell us, even when you're discouraged, never say you cannot, right? And even when he's sick, somebody calls him, he says, I'm really doing good. He always bubbles, comes up with that cheer, joy, and that has manifested in the family. And when I read the book, I thought, this is going to really help me to unleash the power of the subconscious mind. And I started using it more and more, because even though we know what it can offer us, sometimes, because of the pressures that we face in real life, we could become pessimistic at times. We could start doubting ourselves. And those times, I have really, asked myself, am I doing the right thing for me? Right? So what is the kind of messaging that I'm giving to myself? What is the self-talk that's going on in me? So I have become mindful about it, and I have tried to send the right messages to my subconscious mind. And I think until date, so many miracles have happened in my life, and I think it would go back to what I have consciously invested in my subconscious mind. So I think the book is great.
Do you do it consciously?
Yes. So one thing that I do is the positive visualization, because I think we can call it as a fantasy, we can call it as a daydream, or we can call it as really sending that positive message to the subconscious mind. So I have always fantasized, or really had that mental imagery of whatever I wanted, be it in my personal life or in my professional life. I have done that, and I think this book really taught me how to do it and when to do it, because this book, yes, the process. So how you have a very vivid picture of what you want to achieve, right? So if, for example, if you are going to be writing an exam and you're really scared about it, this book tells you not about how you get the confidence, but about how you will feel after you have wrote the exam and how you are coming out in flying colors. Somebody comes and congratulates you, or you are receiving, say, the prize for coming as a topper. So what you want to achieve as an outcome, the end, right? So this book teaches you how to have a mental imagery of that. And I think that's something I consciously started doing. While, yes, so I have always tried to send that message back to my mind. This book has helped me with that. And also when you do it, I think the timing, in fact, even last few months, because of my, hectic work hours and my personal commitments, so I started developing neck ache and body ache, and even I went to physiotherapy. They said, you're perfectly doing fine. Maybe it's your mental stress. Right, so at that time I started to, use the time just before I go to sleep, started telling myself I'm in perfect health, right? So my body is in perfect harmony, and I'm healing myself, and I will come out of all these, illnesses. And believe me, I'm doing much better today. Wow. Because I think that's the power, the magical power of the subconscious mind, because it's the everyday thought, everyday feeling that we are having and what we are keeping on sending to our subconscious mind. So I think definitely I vouch for what I have experienced. What Joseph Murphy said, I think maybe 70 years ago. I think the best part is sitting now in 2023, we're talking about a book which he wrote in 1965. So I think that itself speaks about the magical powers of subconscious mind.
Yeah, I mean, it's also amazing that they had discovered all this
Yes, yeah.
back then, and
Talking about the
and
science.
it's relevant
Yeah.
in today's time as well. Yes,
Right.
Thanks for that. Shobha, to you. You know, the book says the way to overcome a negative thought is to substitute it with a good thought. Now, it sounds good. So, do you think it's easier said than done, and how do you think one can practically implement it?
Yeah. So, it was, if I right now say, don't do this, the mind will want to do it. That is how nature of mind is, right? It's like a child. You told her, don't put your hand there. The child is going to do that.
Yes.
It's going to sneak in. So, see, he also mentions that for you to do the affirmation, you need to be in a sleepy state, drowsy state. That is the meditative state.
True,
right?
true,
So when, at least in my life and in many others' life, when make it as a habit, like every day you do a meditation, and automatically, even before you kind of visualize it, it comes to you. And those thoughts get replaced with the positive affirmation automatically. So I would say that instead of saying your mind, hey, I'm not going to have any negative thoughts today, I'm sure you'll be bombarded with those. And for every thought, it's a lot of effort, to just say, oh, okay, I have a negative thought now, I need to replace it with a positive thought. Instead, you make this as a ritual, like a habit. And also, as Uma rightly said, like the whole atmosphere we are in, the environment we are growing in, right? I know that in my house, my grandparents used to always say, there are angels everywhere sitting, and they'll say, Tatastu. So you have to be very careful of what you say. So it always gave us that, and also they said like alternative thinking, right? For example, if there is nothing in the house, like say somebody's having a guest and they want to feed them and they don't have, it's like, we have enough, but I need to get some more things from the store, kind of a thing, right?
Yeah.
So that kind of habit, it doesn't come in a day, but conscious practice with this meditation practices also makes a lot of difference. And also the feverishness. If you drop the feverishness, then the negative thoughts automatically start vanishing. The minute you say, oh my God, I have a negative thought now, I need to replace it with a positive thought, that gets more stressful, and that produces a lot more negative thoughts in oneself.
Very true. Yeah, that's a very, very nice thing that you mentioned. I, in fact, also remember, I think in some video or something I've seen how in ancient days when, somebody used to come begging and there wasn't enough food at home, they would never say, there is not. There is lots, please come tomorrow. Yeah,
exactly.
So, yeah, very
The
nice
thought
example.
of abundance,
Yes.
and also it was a in our culture especially, even to say something, even if you have to scold somebody, they never used negative words to say, right? They always used positive affirmation to even to people to change.
True.
So that is very powerful. So it becomes as a part of our culture and of our bringing, then it becomes easier.
Very
as a
nice,
kid, we
yes.
used to have moral science
Correct,
lessons.
correct.
These days, things are changing in schools, but those really made a lot of difference.
True. Very nice example. Uma, again to you. Since you told me, when I had invited that you have a lot of, real life experiences to share, and can you tell us a little more on how you applied the concepts of the book and what results has it brought for you?
Yeah, like I said, I have had very tall ambitions since my childhood. I have never worried about how. I've only thought what I wanted. And along the way, there have been people who have discouraged. So, simple example, like when I wanted to do my MBA, I wanted to do in a B school. And there were a lot of people who were only discouraging, oh, it's not easy, because I did not come from a very top school. I didn't study in a convent, but so they said, no, it's going to be very competitive. You have to give your CAT exam and it's going to be tough. I never really worried about how, but I just wanted what I wanted, and it happened.
Wow.
Right? So I think, looking at many of my experiences, the career that I chose. So when I married to my husband, so he runs his own business, and he said, you're not going to work. Right? I was, little upset at that time because I wanted to have a career on my own. Though I could have helped him in his business, but that's something I always wanted, and I had the dream. right? So at that time, I just gave in because, the family was more important. But the dream that I had, that I have to be working, then I need to have a professional, role for myself, and how I want to grow in my career. So, all of a sudden that, he changed his mind. And, I have 20 years of experience in my professional career, and he is the one who is fully supporting me today. And he says, you go on. I can be at home, and I can, be a stay at, home dad. So that kind of a transformation has happened. So again, I think it's all about how I had a staunch belief about what I wanted. And I think, as I told you, so I never worry about how, because we do not have answers for many things around us. The book talks about even scientists counting on, because we are talking about science and we are talking about the miracle of mind. And even scientists, when they are trying to crack something, so they may go unanswered, they just leave it, right? And then they go to bed. And all of a sudden, in the middle of the night, we have read in so many stories that you get up and you have an answer, right? So we've heard that eureka moment, how it can happen at any time, right? So how the mind has the power to connect with the right people, connect with the right source of information, connect with what you want. So it has the answer, right? So because that's why we say subconscious mind does not know the logic.
True.
Right? So the conscious mind knows the logic. It keeps asking how can this happen? But the subconscious mind makes it happen. Right? So I think it's hard for us to believe, because we are always having a lot of objectivity in whatever we do. But I think there is, the power of subconscious mind as we sow those things in our mind. So it makes it happen. So I think that's what has really, brought me so far. And I would really, want to tap my subconscious mind's power even as I move forward. So even, just to quote an example, when I joined the company, so I had to travel to the US, just in a month's time, right? So there was one important workshop, they said, and I have to travel. And I did not know the visa procedure and all that. So when I looked at the appointment itself at that time, I'm talking about 10 years ago, they said would take 2 months' time. But I had to attend the workshop in a month's time. They said nothing doing, so you can go to any agent, do this, that, but it's not going to happen. But somewhere in my mind, I had the, wish to go, or rather the yearning to go, because it's the first time and in a very important workshop that I had to attend. So I was really hopeful, and I was asking so many people, hey, is there a way, is there a way, is there a way? 10, 12 times I asked, and most of them said no. No was the answer. But somebody told me, you check in the middle of the night, 12 midnight, that would possibly be a 6 a.m. for the US, and some of them might withdraw and you might get it. And I tried that still with the hope. I tried that for 3 days, 4 days, and the 5th day, suddenly I saw an appointment getting cancelled, and I could book it. And everybody was so surprised that I could make it to the workshop just 3 days before I got the appointment, and everything happened at the nth moment, and I could fly and attend the workshop. So even today, I can go on saying how many miracles have happened, because one thing, I really don't worry about how. I just say what I want and leave it to the mind. I'm not saying 100% all the time I've been successful, because in life, sometimes the answers may come later, right? Sure. So, and the book also says, do not give up because you're not getting the answers immediately, right? Maybe there is also some negativity that's strongly coming in between, that, the answer is delayed, the process is delayed, right? So I also always tell myself that everything happens for a reason, right? So with that, I just move on and try to, understand, what could be the, answer that I'm getting here. So that way, I would say definitely this book really talks about believing in the subconscious mind, and giving the burden to the subconscious mind, and just, getting the solution. So we don't have to really get overwhelmed. But the answer is there, and we are going to realize it soon.
Very, very true. So in fact, when you mentioned about the visa for the US, I had a very similar experience. That time I didn't know about the subconscious mind, but it was a very strong thing. It was for me in 1 week. I had to, again, similar for a workshop, both in France and US. It was 3 days in France, 3 days in UK, sorry. And I also never thought about the how. Now that you said, it resonates so well. It was like I was invited for this, and immediately I'm like, yeah, I want to go there. And the passport had to go to the for the Schengen visa, and then for the UK. I didn't know how it happened. I felt like it was a miracle, but you're absolutely right. I mean, I was just focusing on, like me being there, so I could so relate. Thanks for highlighting that. Shobha, what about you? Have you tapped into the potential of the subconscious mind? And we would love to hear your experience
I
as
think
well.
we have similar, ideas or ideologies. People always say, "Hey, you are a go-getter. You will make it happen." So I never bother about how. I only know what I want. And I tell my team, I tell at home, wherever I am working with, whomever I work with, I said, you know what? This is what I want, and it'll happen. So that is how, and things start happening because as I told you, right, drop the feverishness and say, this is what I want, or even better. And things 99.9% happen the way you want because also I say like because you kind of have this positive affirmation in your meditative state. I mean, I have many miracles, I would say. In fact, sitting here right now is probably a manifestation. I did that very recently, right? I was like, I've been getting active on LinkedIn because people have been asking me to, and I kind of kept pushing it for my, I don't know, whatever reasons. And then I've been consistently posting something. And this morning I said, like, what am I going to post this weekend? I need some story. And I said, like, hey, maybe something I should talk about. And you asked me to join the session. So, like, yeah,
Amazing.
I just tell what I want and things happen.
Awesome.
So, and I also always have this thing of visualizing, right? In my mind, it is a clear picture of where I want to be, what I want to do, and things start happening.
Amazing. So how do you get that clarity?
So again, I'll go back to the meditation that I do, right?
Right.
When your mind is very calm, that is when things start manifesting. Many of them probably are reading the book and saying, hey, I read the book too, I tried a few things, it doesn't work. Because he says, right, you are kind of counteracting it with another...
And forcing the mind.
Yeah, you are kind of putting a thought seed that, hey, this may not happen. See, the thing is, you have a desire, but it's okay if it happens or not. You just leave it at that, it starts happening. But if you're running behind this, oh my God, I need this, I need this, I need this, you're already telling yourself it's not going to happen.
True.
Right?
True.
So when you have that, hey, I want this, it's okay if it happens, fine. Chances are it's going to happen. And also when you have this clarity in your mind, right, because of the practices that you do, when your mind is calm, your thought process is very good. You're starting to tap into your intuitive power. It is not limited to just the intelligence, right? So when you start listening to your inner core, it is always right. And when you act with that, your productivity starts increasing. Your ideas, people are going to be surprised, like, hey, how does she think this way? How does she get these ideas? I truly don't know how I get these ideas. It just comes to me.
So what are these practices? Is it the art of living, the pranayama
Yes,
and all
of course,
those?
yes. I vouch and I owe everything to the art of living and Gurudev Shri Ravi Shankarji. For the last 15 years, I've been practicing diligently. I've had ups and downs. I've had to travel. I had all sorts of things happening in life, but never ever have I given my practice up for even a single day.
Amazing.
The last 15 years, except 2 days when we were in the ashram and Gurudev had said, today you don't have to do this practice, I'm going to tell you something new.
Okay.
Except that, I've never missed it. Come what may, I
Awesome.
have a 3 o'clock flight, I'll get up at 2 o'clock, finish my practice, and then go. And I meditate in the flight, I meditate in the train, as I meditate in the car, as long as I'm not driving. So this is one thing that nothing will take this away from me, right? Because I know what it is to not have it, and I know what it is to have it.
Amazing.
So I will not lose this for anything.
Lovely, lovely. That's so nice to hear, and the discipline that you bring about and the rigor that you bring about.
Yeah, that is because of the outcome is much more powerful. Like I invest, like say an hour or two with myself, and it's also my time, right? Me time. I get my time for myself. In a day, I don't know how many of us have our own time. Even when we are with ourselves, we are with the mobile or watching TV or something.
True.
There is no way am I listening to myself. And this gives me an opportunity to listen to myself. And that makes wonders. So it's a good investment.
Very nice, very nice. And I think there was a program that you had, right?
Yes,
in
just
YMCA.
last weekend we had the program.
Okay.
About 2,000 people across walks of life attended. And in fact, I don't know when I had even said that, hey, maybe someday I'll also do this program. And I was surprised that I was asked to conduct the whole program for 2,000 people.
Wow, that's amazing.
And and there was, again, when I went on the stage or anything, there was no fear. It was just flowing because there was nothing that I wanted to impress anybody. I was just myself. In the process,
Yes,
people loved what I was saying.
Yeah, that makes a difference too. Amazing. Thanks for sharing that. Uma, to you, so the book talks about a lot of affirmations. So was there any particular affirmation that closely resonated with you? Because for everything I noticed there was like an affirmation saying, how the infinite intelligence is helping me, guiding me, whatever, health, wealth, whatever. So is there anything that resonates with you?
Yeah, I think one of the affirmations the book talks about in terms of what is the positive talk that you have with yourself, especially before you go to bed. Right, so what you tell your mind about the day that you have had, right? So are you winding off your day with a gratitude, right? So even if we have had a tough day where things did not go as per our plan, but how are you going to tell your mind that you are still in control? And the right things happened, and what you are learning from the experiences that we have had on that day. So those kind of positive affirmations, or be it your health, or be it the relationships that we have, and in fact the affirmation that you can have to help your own people, right? True. So I think that's great. In fact, I really want to tap into that, because the book talks about not just tapping into your own positive energy or your own self-conscious mind's power, but how you can help others. So I have a kid who's writing his exam and he's so stressed, or I have a mother who's sick, or somebody who has a relationship issue. So how we can have those kind of positive affirmations, how we feel the right things for them. And in fact, the book talks about how there has been so many stories where that has manifested and helped that individual. Yes. I think that's awesome, because I think we definitely wish well for our own, people. Absolutely, and but how we can really take it to the transcendental level, where we imagine, what kind of positive outcome they would be experiencing. So how you can affirm, how you can tell that with the truest sincerity. So I think that's really great, and I think it is also going to be necessary that we train our mind to do that, because
how do you think we can train?
I think it comes by one's own practice, because there may not be one way of doing it, but for us to really first understand what is the ask that we are having, and trying to even write down, or trying to be in a as she said, in a meditative state, or just the state before sleep, telling what we really want, right? So having that vivid picture of what we want, and telling the mind that things are going fine, or my son would finish his exam successfully and he would get into the right school, and whatever you want, how you can spell out very clearly without any kind of inhibition, without apprehension, without that fear. I think that's really going to remain in the mind, because the mind knows no logic, right? So it's not going to ask. So whatever you say, it's going to believe, right? So I think that's something, as I said, the affirmation mainly on how I can also help others, right? So who could be going through different, situations in life. I think that was something when I read the second time recently, when I read it, after we had committed for this, I thought, this is really magical, and certainly we can. I think that's the community power, right? So the prayer, the community prayer, where we all go into our, religious place and we do that, right? So the book is talking about that, and I thought, this is great, and definitely we can.
I think that's a very good share, considering there are a lot of students here, so I'm sure that would be.
I would also like to add to that. Even the author talks about it, right? For the affirmation, also our ill feelings for others really impacts, right? So when we have, it's good that we should want something, but when we have that, hey, they have it and I don't have it, right there we have closed the option of it coming to us, right? So there is this beautiful process in our culture where you kind of surrender all your ill feelings to the nature back, right? So the greed, jealousy. I mean, we are human beings after all. So we have this envy, greed, jealousy, anger, obsession of something. All these compulsive behaviors, when you make it as a habit that, hey, this is not my, again he says, nature, the book says, by nature we are compassion, love, we all know that. It is universal truth. We are all here. We want to give, that's our nature. We want to help people. And there's also a beautiful example of how somebody crippled just told themselves that I want to get up and run and help somebody in the earthquake, and they did it. Yeah. So when we have that, things start happening more easily. You don't have to, even do a lot of thought process like, hey, I want this is how it's going to be. So much of effort to visualize is also not required as long as you wish good for others. And that again comes with practice. And when you have this contentment in you.
Correct.
Have gratitude, like whatever I have is more than what I would have ever asked for, right? When you have that sense of contentment, abundance comes to us.
Beautiful. Yeah, very true. So to continue from what you said previously, since you're a senior Art of Living teacher and it talks about happiness, Art of Living talks about happiness. So I noticed the book also, it says that you must choose happiness, right? So what is again your suggestion on how to consciously implement it, especially during tough times? Because normal times, everything is hunky-dory, everybody is happy. But if there is a challenge or a tough time, how can one implement
No,
it?
the answer is actually very simple. Just a smile. That was the research.
Smile
done.
through the
You
challenges?
can not smile consciously, just spread your lips. As simple as that. And
Fake it
becomes a
till you
habit.
make
Fake
it.
it until you make it, right? Again, I
Right.
have to go back to my Gurudev for everything I know, because that is a quote again from him. So there is a research that was done in Penn State, if I'm right, where 2 control groups of 20 students each were asked to watch an animated clipping, 5 minutes clipping, and they had given pencils to them and asked them to hold it in their lips. One group was asked to hold it vertically, and one group was asked to hold it horizontally. And they both the groups watched the same clipping, and they were asked to rate the clipping. I mean, you or anybody in the audience, can you tell, was there any difference? It's the same clipping that they saw. Do you see, can you guess any difference in the rating?
So I'm only thinking if it was vertical, they would have thought it's like a smoke. I
Okay.
don't know.
Okay, you know what? The people who had the pencils horizontally rated it better than the people who had the pencil held vertically. Because your mind thinks, by just spreading your lips unconsciously, your mind thinks you're happy. And by frowning, just by closing your lips, it thinks you're frowning or you're sad, you're upset, so it brings down the rating. So and in fact, when I go into an elevator or something, I just keep smiling. That's become a habit now.
Wow.
People say, like, do I know you? I say, like, I mean, we just shake hands and get to know, and in the process, we also network with people, right? So that is actually a very easy tool to catch. Because if you think, hey, meditation is probably for her, not for me, but I'm telling you, meditation is so effortless because meditation is doing nothing. You just sit with your eyes closed. Thoughts come, let them come. So this, I think, will help a lot. And also, looking back at your own life, right? Hey, I've gone through multiple things in my life. There have been ups and downs, and I've sailed through all of this. That comes with maturity, and that comes with contentment too. So that is why these practices are so important. And whatever we wish certainly is going to happen, as Uma rightly pointed out. It may take time, but it's going to happen. So have that faith. That's why in every culture there is this ritual of praying and with faith, right?
True.
And that happens. Like you say, like 45 days, I'm going to do this and I'm going to get this out of it. It is actually you're feeding into the subconscious mind, saying that, hey, I'm slowly building this truth for myself.
Yes,
and in the process, it starts happening. So those, in tougher times is when you hold on to your faith stronger.
Yes, I think no wonder it said faith moves mountains.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, okay, awesome. Thanks for that, Shobha. Uma, to you. So many places the book talks about asking for guidance, right? The divine guidance in whatever that you want to do. So how do you think one can make it a seamless process?
I think part of this I already answered for the previous question. So I think
from a guidance perspective?
Yeah, from the guidance perspective, the subconscious mind has all the answers. It has the power to connect with the right people, the right sources.
Agree, but how does one, probably like they don't even remember that, hey, I'm in trouble and then I need to ask for guidance. It should become an automatic process, right?
See,
we just think, the entire world rests on my shoulder. I have this challenge, so I will do it. That's the normal way we are.
So, like I said, we are just a small dot in the whole ocean, right? So, whole world. So, it's like just surrender yourself, right? So, we say it's God, or it can be the subconscious mind, whatever we believe in. So, just surrender to subconscious mind. And just say, like, I am. So one thing, I am not saying this to feel arrogant or something, but I say I'm bigger than anything. So I feel like the problem is very small in front of us, which means our mind has the power to solve any problems.
Right.
So no point in getting overwhelmed about it, but I just surrender and say like I want to come out of this problem, and I'm sure I would come out of this problem in flying colors. So I would get a solution. So if there is a problem with people, right? So and I'm sure they would somewhere realize and improve their relationships with me. Or if it's a problem with say money, or if it's a problem with time. So I've always felt that this too shall pass, and the problem would automatically solve. Because as I said, so thinking all that problem, is going to take me down, or feeling that that's the end of my day or life, is not going to help. So all I do is just surrender myself, and I say like, I know that I will come out of this soon, and just ask for guidance.
Right,
So that's the sincere prayer, or you can say it's a meditation, as she said, or an affirmation to my own mind that I would soon come out of this problem, and I will have a solution for it, right? So that's how I ask for guidance, and things have eased, right? So it's also about the perseverance and patience.
Correct.
And believing in the process, basically. So, and we can see that the mind also pushes you to take the right actions, right? So it guides you through the process. Sometimes you may feel that everything is wrong, right? Everybody is against you, right? But if you are believing in the process, so somewhere it pushes you to see the different, shades of people, different shades of situations, right? So because you are again telling your mind that, you are having the courage to face it. So definitely you are also going to act, right? So on your own to solve the problem. And I think things will automatically come in your favor as well. So
Lovely,
I think
lovely.
that.
I think you brought in a new dimension of the time as well. The book doesn't talk about time, but I think that was a very nice point that you've highlighted. Yeah, using the subconscious mind for time, because we're all like so pressed for time most of the time. Okay, great. So probably we should ask for questions. Anybody from the audience? Any questions? And of course online as well. Yes.
So audience, now it's your time. You can ask for some questions. It's a great book. You heard a great commentary on that.
Hello, I'm M. Ganesh. Nice panel discussions about the power of subconscious mind. Few things I just have clarification on that. See, we had the earlier very famous book, Power of Positive Thinking, right? Norman Vincent. Is it a complement or is it the same thing one? Second is, we always say, whatever you are destined is going to happen. So there is nothing called like you want or you don't want, whatever destined. So how do you look in this perspective? The third is, we always say, if you are take things as equanimity, right? Whether there is no, whatever happens good or not, you take it in a equanimity sense. Then there is no question of a big happiness or sad or something like that. Because whatever we want, even in subconscious mind, is not everything is going to happen. Correct? So we have to know the balance, what will happen, what will not, and take it as what comes. Thank you.
So I'll answer the first one and then you can probably say. So the book, the concept I thought is very similar to The Secret. I don't know if you've read The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. So the concept, the visualization, the affirmation, the expressing the gratitude and seeing that it's happened. So I thought that was pretty similar. And probably the positive thinking, I'm guessing that since the book says do not think negatively. So positive thinking is a part of it, is what I would construe. But this concept, the law of attraction, The Secret, all of that is what I feel this book has captured, with more examples relevant. And maybe Shobha, you can answer this other question.
Yeah. So the question on destiny and free will. I'm going to again quote back what my guru says. Your past is destiny, it's over, but your future is free will. And also, we know that certain things are the way it is. Like, for example, I'll take another example. Chennai is going to be hot no matter what in May. If you sit in Chennai and say, oh my God, I cannot tolerate this is hot, this is intolerable, then you're making your life miserable and everybody else's life miserable, right? So certain things are going to be that way. It cannot be changed. Like, for example, again, go back to the example I get from my guru, like your height is your destiny, but your weight is your free will. So there are things that we can change and there are things that we cannot change. So when we have that acceptance, then whatever things we can change, that comfort zone starts increasing. Your circle of influence starts increasing because you know, hey, these are things that I can change. So when you start working on that, your destiny, your future becomes a free will, and you also, because you are staying positive about whatever comes, I'm okay because the divine knows it's the divine will at the end of the day, then it becomes easier for you to come into acceptance of what you want. And if it doesn't, and also traditionally the prayer is sankalpa, we call it, this whole subconscious mind, the visualization, all that is called sankalpa in this culture, where you say that I am dropping it, I wished for it, you do it, and everything is like a ritual so that your mind keeps it. I wish for it and I'm dropping it, and I'm also surrendering the fact that if there is something better, give that to me. So sometimes nature knows better on what we want. For example, I'll take my own example. Way back, maybe 20 years ago, I would say, we were in the US and we wanted to buy a house. Somehow it was not very, there was some feverishness in me. Like I wanted the house come what may. And I was reading such books and I was like, hey, I'm going to manifest it and all of that. And we got to finalize the house, and the next morning we were going to give a check for our down payment. We go there. Just 5 minutes before that, somebody else signs the contract. I was very upset, and I was very young then. I came home, I said like, no more God pictures in this house, everything goes out, and I'm scolding my mother, and I'm like crying to my in-laws and saying, hey, whatever you guys taught me is not good enough, blah, blah, blah. And I had a young kid. I was not even taking care of the child. I was in my own world, upset about, hey, what is this free will? I can't change anything. I'm giving up on life because everything is anyway destined. But, you know, 1 or 10 days or 1 month after that, my husband gets a promotion and he has to move out of that place. Had we bought that house, he would have lost his promotion, we wouldn't have moved further, and I wouldn't have been in HR space. I would have still been a developer because I was in that kind of a job. And when I moved, I got another opportunity. I could study further. So many things happened. So sometimes we also have to trust nature, that nature, God, whatever you want to call it, that the tattva has, the principle knows better than us. But this destiny and free will is definitely, to a great extent, we can change. And sometimes the time, as she said, just the perseverance. And so if you don't mind, if you could repeat your second question. Yeah. So that, yeah, you want to answer? Please go ahead.
Yeah, I would say that's up to the individual, right? So it's again what you sow to your mind, right? If you are complacent and you feel, yes, whatever comes my way, I'm accepting it. So you are, say, denied a promotion, or you feel like you lost an opportunity, or you, as she said, so you missed an opportunity to buy something that you really cherished. So it's up to us how much we want that to happen, and the longingness we have, or you know, how we want to strike an equation where I say, okay, I take it, right? So it's again what every individual wants, and how we are going to be in harmony with our mind, right? In harmony with our thoughts and beliefs, right? So because what one wants is not something the other wants, right? So it's going to be really difficult if all of us are wanting the same thing, right? So if I'm a seller, I need a buyer, right? So if there are you know, different positions that we take in life at different points in time. So all the book is saying is just sow the right things for you, right? So if you feel, because so there are people who really want to be in a rat race and some don't want to be. So it's up to us. But what you want to, you know, wish for yourself in life, so keep, you know, visualizing that, keep thinking about it. So you are in perfect harmony and you are able to see that, you know, come in life. So that's what the book talks about.
I would like to add just one thing, if you would. So when there is acceptance, you start responding to the situation. And when you start responding and not reacting, chances of you getting what you wanted is very high. So unless we accept, we cannot respond to any situation.
Nice.
Absolutely, very beautifully said.
Yeah, I think we'll go to the next gentleman. Yeah, Mr. One question.
The very basic question I like to ask. There's something called brain, mind, and conscious, subconscious, and conscious. This is because you're saying we had to unlock. What is that to be unlocked? Is it the brain, is it the mind, or the consciousness? Or we go back to the unconscious level? What is that we are talking? I have little. I like to hear from you about these 5 things. Thank you.
You want to say?
Maybe I will go with my understanding of what the book says, because I work with a lot of engineers, so they are always going to, question the logic. So firstly, I wanted to get convinced that what is this we are talking about, then the how, right? So what the author talks about is this mind has basically two spheres. Our mind has, you may call the brain. The brain, in the science you call it as a brain. It has two spheres. And conscious mind is where you are taking decisions, right? So what I experience every day, what I touch, what I see, what I, experience with my sensory organs. And the subconscious mind is not, is passive, and it makes all the other work for you. For example, the organs. When it comes to my heart beating or my digestion or all other organs, what happens inside, I'm not doing anything consciously. It automatically happens because it is programmed, right? So subconscious mind will automatically do it. Now the conscious mind and subconscious mind, they speak to each other, right? So this is in the forefront and that's behind. So what I experience every day, what kind of feelings, what kind of thoughts, what kind of perceptions I make, slowly those are getting registered in my subconscious mind. So if I always fear heights, and I'm going to say, oh no, I cannot look from, a 300 feet mountain, right? So if I keep telling that, my subconscious mind, it knows that I am afraid, right? So then very next time I see, if somebody takes me to say 5,000 feet, the moment I see that, I'm going to faint, right? That's automatic, that's unconsciously happening, even without me. So we thinking about it, right? It's because the subconscious mind has been strongly made to believe that this is true for me. Right? So that's, so unconsciously, in just a jiffy that happens. And if we were to reverse that, it's going to take a lot of time. So consciously I will have to, so the book talks about how you overcome different fears, how you clear your mental blocks. So you have to take conscious steps. Because certain things, because our parents say, because the society says, "Onakku idu varadu, idu mudiyadu, I'm like this." So all those are already, strongly there in the subconscious mind, that it automatically I fail, automatically I, stumble, because that's how I am made to believe, right? So that's the subconscious mind and conscious mind. Stimuli and response, it can be both conscious and unconscious. So yes.
Thank you.
See, sometimes the conscious mind, if you are mindful, you will give the right response to the stimuli. And sometimes you don't take that moment, subconscious mind can overtake you, and automatically you have reacted. As I said, for the fear, there's a stimuli, right? And the response, it's automatic even before you could, realize what's going on. So, which means you need to be mindful, and the next time you encounter such a situation, you will have to act with some more alertness.
Mr. Vivekananda, we got a lot more questions.
It's not unconscious, it's a subconscious mind. Subconscious.
Too complex subject. I think offline we have to discuss this. So this is one last question. There's a student, no?
Yeah.
Good. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Sri Lekha. So question is, I'm a psychology student. All right. So the subconscious is kind of like the second degree. And from our understanding of what we have learned, the subconscious is something that usually gives into your desires. All right. So now when it comes to desires, it's not always healthy. Now, if you do, like you keep on saying, like you mentioned a lot of the times, you tap into your subconscious, there are a lot of possibilities. You're not going to tap into something that's going to lead you to success. Right? Even though we have something that's a moral complex, we won't always focus on it if you're talking about our desires. So how does this book, how will this book actually help you in that sense? Because when you talk about your subconscious, most of the times it's something that's repressed, which can be morally incorrect to follow. So how does this help you to reach success in that sense?
I think the book clearly says that, couple of things. Like if you were there at the beginning, it spoke about the guy losing his right arm because, he just said that, right? So that's why you have to be watchful of what you say and, your thoughts as well. And the way I think one can overcome is, again, based on the book, it is to ask for guidance, seek the guidance. Because yeah, you are right. There could be something like, I don't know which is the best. Probably like, I have 2 or 3 choices. I'm not clear. I don't know. So he just says, ask for divine guidance, and then you will automatically be guided towards it. So That is why, I was even asking Uma in the beginning, I mean, in the end, that how do you actually go about seamlessly to ask for guidance? Because we're not used to it. I guess we need to train our minds that way. Yeah, you have anything else to say? See, that's a thought that you have. That's a belief that you have.
Limitation.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like a few people it may make help. Like that's it's not guidance, it's something that gives you strength. Like with asking for divine guidance, it's something that gives you strength at the end of the day.
It really depends on the belief that you have, the faith that you have. It boils down to that.
Thank you. So we have over 360 participants online watching this program, and they also must be watching when we are going to close this. So we'll just take, there are some questions which will come online. We'll take 2 questions and 2 quick answers maybe. One is very interesting. I'm James. I'm a salesperson. I want to know, does the book talk anything about controlling the thoughts of the other person?
Yeah, you could manifest that too, right? The book talks about everything that you want to. You are what you sow in your mind. So if you are saying that, hey, I want happy people around me, and I'm very it's not just I want. I have happy people around me. I have people who are going to help me. Then that is also going to happen. So the book indirectly tells him that James, that yes, you can.
Also, I mean, in the book, there was a specific example that I said where, an employee was not happy with the president and the vice president.
Right.
So it was again through his thoughts that, he helped manifest what he wanted. So I guess it works.
Great. And one last question we will take. I am Sridhar. I am a student. You talked about the power of prayer in the book, but I am an atheist. So for people like me, what does the book say?
The prayer not necessarily is to some god or a divine power or anything. The whole book is about your subconscious mind. You are telling yourself, all of us are, you believe in something. You may not believe in a form or a thing, but you believe in yourself, right? So you're telling yourself that I can do it. It is like a affirmation to yourself saying that, come what may, this is going to happen and I want this happening. That is again a prayer.
So he can, I mean, for atheists, I would suggest that they can anchor on the power of subconscious mind. So instead of, if you believe in God, you tend to anchor on God. Instead, anchor on the subconscious mind. I mean, I'm sure all of us have a mind. So, it's definitely good to.
Yeah, all the power is within him. He
Yeah.
believes in himself. That's why probably he doesn't believe in anything around him. So that
Absolutely.
is the power of subconscious mind.
So I think
Absolutely.
I think Sridhar has got his answer as well. So that is all the time that we have today, ladies and gentlemen. Fabulous session, a fantastic topic, something which has been, So let's take this opportunity to honor our guests this evening. May I request Ms. Sangeeta to step forward, and Mr. Raja, who is our committee member, is also here. Please join us on stage to give away the memento. And this memento is also very special. Let me tell you that. So we work with a lot of government and government-aided school children, and this is what we do, as you can see on the screen. The children actually learn a lot of skills, and MMA spends a lot of money in their development through CSR. So these are special, and they are actually woven and done by the students. So we would like to give these presents to our guest speakers today, which they will cherish. So these are done by the government and government-aided school children. Shobha gets the biggest cap. Subconsciously, she must have thought, let me get the big one. Hey, one photo. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, all those who joined us here and all those who joined us online. Wishing you a great evening and a great weekend coming up. Reach back home safe. Good night.